waking up 3, 4, sometimes 5 times every night to use the bathroom. You're not alone. And there's something simple your doctor probably hasn't told you about what you eat. Most people think nighttime bathroom trips are just part of getting older. But what if I told you that one small change to your plate could cut those trips in half? That's not a promise. That's what the research actually shows. And most men never find out because nobody talks about it. Think about your last week. How many nights did you wake up? Maybe you've gotten so used to it that you've stopped mentioning it to anyone. You've adjusted your sleep schedule. You drink less water before bed. Maybe you've even moved your bedroom closer to the bathroom. And somehow, it's still happening. You're tired. You're frustrated. And you feel like this is just how things are now. We're going to talk about 5 specific foods that support your prostate health and reduce the urgency you feel at night. But more than that, we're going to understand why these foods work, what's actually happening in your body when you wake up multiple times, and how you can start using this information today. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 5 foods to add to your grocery list, how to eat them in a way that actually fits your life, and what to expect as your body begins to respond. You'll also understand what signs to look for that tell you this is working, because feeling progress is just as important as experiencing it. Let me start by telling you what's really happening when you wake up at night. Your prostate is a small gland about the size of a walnut that sits just below your bladder. It's responsible for producing part of the fluid that carries sperm. As we age, this gland can become inflamed or enlarged. When that happens, it puts pressure on the tube that carries urine from your bladder. Think of it like a water hose with something squeezing it from the outside. The water still wants to flow, but it takes more pressure to get it out, and your body keeps sending signals that something needs to happen. That pressure and that constant signaling is what wakes you up at night. Here's what's important to know. This isn't permanent, and it isn't something you have to accept as the cost of aging. Your body is remarkably good at healing itself when you give it the right tools. Now, inflammation is the root cause of most prostate issues. When your prostate is inflamed, everything feels more urgent. Your bladder feels fuller than it actually is. Your body keeps waking you up. But inflammation isn't something that just happens to you randomly. It's often connected to what you're eating. The foods we eat either calm inflammation down or turn it up, like adjusting the dial on a radio. You might be thinking right now, Dr. Carter, I'm not sure I've ever thought about my food affecting my prostate. That's completely normal. Nobody really teaches us this connection. But once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. The 5 foods I'm going to share with you all have one thing in common. They're rich in compounds that calm inflammation, support healthy blood flow, and help your prostate stay resilient. And here's what makes this even better. They're foods you probably already enjoy. We're not asking you to eat things you hate or to make your meals complicated. Before we go into the specific foods, I want you to think about something. When was the last time someone talked to you about food as medicine? Really talked about it. Not just eat your vegetables, but actually explained how a specific food works in your body. That's what we're doing today. And the first food is something you might already have in your kitchen. Pumpkin seeds are powerful. They're small, but they pack something called phytosterols. Now, I know that sounds like jargon. Let me make it simple. Phytosterols are plant compounds that block something in your body called DHT. DHT is a hormone that makes your prostate grow larger as you age. When you eat pumpkin seeds regularly, you're basically telling your body, hey, we don't need all that extra growth happening. It's like giving your prostate a gentle signal to stay calm and stay the right size. Studies have shown that men who eat pumpkin seeds regularly have less nighttime urgency. One reason is that smaller prostate means less pressure. But pumpkin seeds do something else, too. They're full of zinc, which is essential for prostate health. Your prostate actually contains more zinc than any other organ in your body except the liver. When you're low on zinc, your prostate becomes more vulnerable to inflammation. The beautiful part? A small handful of pumpkin seeds, about a quarter cup, is enough. You don't need to eat a huge amount, just a consistent habit. Here's how to make this work in real life. A lot of my patients tell me they eat pumpkin seeds in the fall and forget about them the rest of the year. Instead, try keeping a small container of them in your kitchen. Some people add them to their morning oatmeal. Some people eat them as an afternoon snack with a piece of fruit. One of my patients keeps them by his TV and eats a small handful during his evening news. Not right before bed, but a few hours before. The timing matters a little bit because you want to give your body time to process them before sleep. You might be thinking, but Dr. Carter, won't eating seeds before bed make me need to use the bathroom more? That's actually the opposite of what happens. Because pumpkin seeds are calming the inflammation in your prostate, over time you'll need the bathroom less, even though you're eating them. Your body learns that it doesn't need to send those false urgency signals anymore. Does someone in your house already buy pumpkin seeds? Maybe for cooking or for a snack? If they do, you've just realized you can start this today. Now we're moving to something you probably eat more regularly: tomatoes. There's a compound in tomatoes called lycopene. Lycopene is a pigment that gives tomatoes their red color, but it's also one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds found in nature. When your prostate is inflamed, lycopene goes to work. And the research on this is really striking. Men who eat tomato-based foods regularly have significantly lower rates of prostate issues. But here's something important that a lot of people get wrong. Raw tomatoes are good, but cooked tomatoes are better. When you cook tomatoes, whether that's making sauce, soup, or even just heating them, the lycopene becomes more available to your body. Your body can actually absorb more of it. This is one of those cases where processing the food actually makes it more helpful. This one is easy because tomato-based foods are things most of us already enjoy. You're probably not adding something strange to your diet. You're just being more intentional about something you already eat. A serving of tomato sauce, tomato soup, or even ketchup, yes, real ketchup with tomatoes, contains meaningful amounts of lycopene. The goal is to have some tomato-based food several times a week, ideally. Some of my patients make it simple. They'll have a bowl of tomato soup with lunch once or twice a week. Others add tomato sauce to their pasta or their rice. One patient I remember would have a small glass of tomato juice in the morning. Not a huge amount, just 4 or 5 ounces. He said it became part of his routine, and after about 6 weeks, he noticed his nighttime trips were decreasing. Now, you might wonder if store-bought tomato products are as good as making things from scratch. The answer is yes. In fact, sometimes store-bought tomato sauce has more lycopene because it's been processed and concentrated. The only thing to watch is the added sugar in some products, but a little added sugar in tomato sauce isn't going to undo all the benefits. What's your favorite tomato-based food? Is it pasta sauce? Soup? Something else? Think about that for a second. Because that's probably how you're going to add more tomatoes into your life. Not by forcing yourself to eat something new, but by doing more of what you already like. The reason I'm emphasizing that is because the foods that work best are the ones you'll actually eat consistently. Consistency matters more than perfection. And here's something reassuring. You don't need to become a health food person to benefit from this. You're just making slightly different choices within the foods you already enjoy. Fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, contain omega-3 fatty acids. Now, you've probably heard about omega-3s before. They're good for your heart, your brain, your joints. But what people don't talk about as much is how important they are for your prostate. Omega-3s reduce inflammation throughout your entire body. When you eat fatty fish regularly, you're not just treating your prostate, you're calming inflammation everywhere. Your joints feel better, your energy improves, your mood often lifts, and your prostate? It gets the benefit of that reduced inflammation too. The way it works is this. Inflammation in your body is driven by molecules called cytokines. Omega-3s actually reduce the production of these inflammatory molecules. Over time, as you eat more omega-3s, your entire inflammatory state decreases. Your prostate becomes less irritated, less swollen, and less likely to send those urgent signals at night. Here's what I tell my patients. Eating fish is an investment in your whole body, not just one part. You're getting better sleep, better prostate health, better mood, better joint function, all from the same meal. The recommendation is to eat fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week. A serving is about the size of your palm, roughly 3 to 4 ounces. Now, I know some people say, Dr. Carter, I don't like fish. That's okay. We have other options. But let me ask you this. Have you actually tried different kinds of fish? Salmon is different from mackerel. Sardines are different from tuna. Some people think they don't like fish because they had a bad experience with one type, and they assume they won't like any fish. One of my patients was convinced he didn't like fish. I suggested he try grilled salmon with lemon and garlic, prepared by someone who knew how to cook it well. He tried it once, and now he eats it twice a week. He said the difference was that he'd never had fish prepared in a way that actually tasted good. You might be thinking, but what if I really don't like fish, no matter how it's prepared? I understand. In that case, there are supplements, fish oil or algae-based omega-3 supplements, that give you the same anti-inflammatory benefit. We can talk about those, but food is always the first choice, because your body absorbs and uses nutrients from food more effectively than from supplements. Are you a fish eater? Or have you been hesitant about fish? If you've been hesitant, what's the main reason? Is it the taste? Is it the smell? Is it something you learned long ago? Whatever your reason is, there's probably a solution. A lot of the things we think we don't like are based on limited experience. But I'm not going to pressure you on this one. Just know that if you can make fish part of your routine, your prostate and your whole body will benefit significantly. And if you do like fish, you're already getting one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory foods available to you. Green tea might seem like a small thing, but the research on green tea and prostate health is remarkable. Green tea contains compounds called catechins. These are antioxidants that protect your cells from damage and reduce inflammation. One catechin in particular, called EGCG, has been studied extensively for prostate health, and the findings are consistent. Men who drink green tea regularly have better prostate function and fewer symptoms of nighttime urgency. The way green tea works is different from the other foods we've talked about. Where pumpkin seeds and tomatoes are working primarily through anti-inflammatory compounds, green tea is also protecting your cells at a deeper level. It's preventing the kind of cellular damage that leads to prostate issues in the first place. And here's what makes green tea special. It's a beverage. You're not adding another food to your plate. You're replacing something you probably already drink with something slightly more beneficial. The amount that matters is about 2 to 3 cups a day. Now that sounds like a lot, but here's the thing. You don't have to drink it all at once. Some people have a cup with breakfast. Some people have one in the afternoon. One patient I worked with kept a thermos of green tea at his desk and would sip it throughout the morning. After about 3 weeks, he realized his afternoon energy slump had disappeared. And after about 6 weeks, he noticed his nighttime bathroom trips had cut in half. The timing is important, though. You don't want to drink green tea right before bed because, despite its benefits, it does contain some caffeine. A cup of green tea has about 25 to 50 milligrams of caffeine, compared to 95 milligrams in a cup of coffee. It's not a ton, but if you're sensitive to caffeine, you want to have your last cup by mid-afternoon. You might be thinking, I don't really drink tea. I'm a coffee person. I get it. I work with a lot of people who say the same thing. But here's what I've seen. If you try green tea with a little honey and maybe a slice of lemon, it becomes a ritual instead of a chore. It becomes something you look forward to. One of my patients said, "I thought I'd hate it, but I love the quiet moment of brewing it and sitting down for 5 minutes." What do you typically drink during the day? Is it coffee? Water? Something else? What if one of those cups could also be supporting your prostate health? The beauty of green tea is that you're getting a double benefit: the anti-inflammatory compounds and also the ritual of slowing down, breathing, and taking a moment for yourself. That calm, that reduction in stress actually helps your prostate too. Stress increases inflammation. Calm reduces it. So when you drink green tea, you're not just getting the chemical benefits, you're also giving your body permission to relax. Both of those things matter. The last food, and I'm grouping these two because they work through the same mechanism, is berries and dark chocolate. I know that might sound like a strange combination, but stay with me. Both berries and dark chocolate are rich in compounds called polyphenols and anthocyanins. These are powerful antioxidants. Berries, blueberries especially, but also blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries, contain these compounds in high amounts. Dark chocolate, particularly chocolate that's 70% cacao or higher, also contains them. What these compounds do is protect your prostate cells from oxidative damage. Think of oxidative damage like rust on metal. Your cells, including your prostate cells, can accumulate damage over time from normal metabolism and from exposure to things like stress and poor diet. Antioxidants slow that process down. They're like a protective coating that keeps the rust from forming as quickly. Here's what makes this one my favorite to talk about. You get to eat things that taste good. Berries are delicious. Dark chocolate is delicious. This isn't a sacrifice. With berries, the goal is to eat a serving several times a week. A serving is about a cup of fresh berries or a half cup of frozen berries. A lot of people think frozen berries are less healthy than fresh, but that's not true. Frozen berries are frozen at peak ripeness, so they actually contain just as many antioxidants as fresh ones. And they're often cheaper and more convenient. Some of my patients keep a bag of frozen blueberries in their freezer and add them to their oatmeal in the morning. Or they thaw them and eat them with yogurt. Dark chocolate is simpler. A serving is about an ounce, roughly a square or two from a regular chocolate bar. You eat it slowly, you enjoy it, and you're getting the benefit. Some people think they need to eat dark chocolate in large quantities for it to help. You don't. The compounds are concentrated, so a small amount goes a long way. The key is that it needs to be real dark chocolate, 70% cacao or higher. The lighter, sweeter milk chocolate doesn't have the same antioxidant content. You might be thinking, this is starting to sound like a lot of foods to add to my diet. Let me reassure you, you're not adding 5 entirely new meals. You're adding small amounts of 5 foods to the meals you're probably already eating. A handful of berries in your oatmeal. A square of dark chocolate after lunch. Some tomato sauce on your pasta. A piece of grilled salmon twice a week. A cup of green tea in the afternoon. These aren't major changes. They're small shifts that add up over time. Of the 5 foods we've talked about today, pumpkin seeds, tomatoes, fatty fish, green tea, and berries with dark chocolate, which ones do you think would be easiest for you to add to your routine? I'm asking that because where you start matters. Some people start with the easiest one. Some people start with their favorite. Both approaches work. What matters is that you start somewhere and build momentum. Once you add one successfully, adding the second becomes easier, and the third becomes even easier. This is how change actually happens in real life. And here's something to remember. You don't need to do all 5 perfectly. Even if you do 3 of these things consistently, you'll see a significant improvement in your symptoms. Your body will respond. You'll start sleeping better. Your prostate will feel less irritated, and that improvement will motivate you to keep going. I want to set realistic expectations because this matters. When you start eating these foods, you're not going to notice a difference overnight. Your body doesn't work that way. But you will notice a difference on a timeline that's actually quite encouraging. I want to set realistic expectations because this matters. When you start eating these foods, you're not going to notice a difference overnight. Your body doesn't work that way. But you will notice a difference on a timeline that's actually quite encouraging. Most of my patients start noticing changes around 3 to 4 weeks. The first thing they usually notice is subtle. Maybe they wake up one night instead of 3. Maybe they wake up but feel less urgent about it. This might sound small, but for someone who's been waking up 4 or 5 times a night, this is huge. By 6 to 8 weeks, most people notice a clear difference. They're waking up less. When they do wake up, it's because they genuinely need to use the bathroom, not because of that phantom urgency. They're sleeping better. They have more energy during the day. They're not that tired fog that comes from broken sleep. At 3 months, the changes are usually quite significant. A lot of my patients at this point are back to waking up 0 or 1 time a night, which is normal and healthy. Some wake up once. That's completely fine. That's actually how your body is supposed to work. The reason I'm telling you this timeline is because change is happening even before you feel it dramatically. Your prostate is calming down. The inflammation is reducing. The improvements build gradually, and then suddenly you realize you've had a whole night of sleep. That's when people really get it. Because the changes happen gradually, I want to give you some signs to look for. These are the things that tell you, even in week 2 or week 3, that your body is responding. First, energy. People often don't connect their nighttime bathroom trips to their daytime energy, but they're directly related. When you're waking up less at night, your sleep quality improves immediately. You might not sleep longer, but you sleep deeper. Within the first few weeks, you'll notice you have more energy. You're not that groggy in the morning. You don't need that 3rd cup of coffee just to function. Second, mood. This one surprises people. But better sleep means better mood. Your brain resets itself during deep sleep. When you're sleeping better, your mood lifts. You're more patient. Things that would have frustrated you seem less frustrating. Third, the actual bathroom trips. This is the obvious one, but watch for it. You're waking up slightly less, or when you do wake up, you're noticing that the urgency is different. It's real urgency, not phantom urgency. These signs might seem small, but they're actually your body telling you that the food changes are working. Pay attention to them. They're your body's way of saying, yes, we like this direction. I want to address something I hear a lot. People ask me, Dr. Carter, if food is this important for prostate health, why doesn't my doctor talk about it? That's a great question. The honest answer is that doctors are trained primarily in medication and treatment, not in nutrition. It's not that nutrition isn't important. It absolutely is. It's just that it's not the focus of medical training. Doctors see patients for short appointments, and talking about nutrition takes time. Recommending a medication takes 30 seconds. But the research is there. The evidence is solid. Food matters. What you eat directly affects your prostate, your inflammation, your sleep, and your quality of life. Another question. Can I take a supplement instead of eating these foods? The answer is yes, but with a caveat. Supplements can help, but they're never quite as good as getting these compounds from actual food. Your body has evolved to process nutrients from food in a sophisticated way. A supplement is a concentrated version of one compound. Food contains that compound plus hundreds of other beneficial things we haven't even fully identified yet. Do you have access to these foods where you shop? That's the practical question. If you live somewhere where fresh berries are expensive or hard to find, frozen berries work just as well. If you're in an area where fresh salmon is pricey, canned salmon has the same omega-3 content. There are always ways to adapt these recommendations to what's actually available and affordable to you. I want to be honest about something. The foods we've talked about will help significantly, but they're not a cure-all. If your prostate symptoms are severe, if you're waking up 6, 7, 8 times a night, you might need to see a doctor. You might need additional support. These foods are preventive and supportive. They work best when you're catching the issue early or when you're combining them with other healthy habits. Healthy habits include things like staying active, managing stress, and limiting alcohol. Alcohol, especially beer, can irritate the prostate and increase nighttime urgency. If you're drinking heavily, cutting back will help more than any food can. But for most people, for the moderate symptoms that are disrupting sleep and quality of life, these 5 foods make a real, measurable difference. Here's what I want you to do in the next few days. Don't try to add all 5 foods at once. That's too much. Instead, pick one. Just one. Pick the one that seems easiest or most appealing to you. If you love tomatoes, start with adding tomato-based foods a couple of times a week. If you like chocolate, buy a bar of dark chocolate and have a square a day. If you're interested in fish, plan one meal with salmon this week. If green tea sounds nice, buy some and have a cup in the afternoon. Do that one thing consistently for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, when it feels like a habit and not a chore, add a second food, then a third. This gradual approach works better than trying to overhaul everything at once. I'd love to hear from you. In the comments, tell me, which of these 5 foods are you most excited to try? Is it one of them, or are you thinking you might try a couple? And if you're already eating some of these foods, share your experience. Are you noticing changes? Are you sleeping better? Let me know. The comments are how we create a community of people supporting each other through this. This information is for educational purposes only and is based on research about foods that support prostate health. Every person is different, and what works beautifully for one person might be slightly different for another. If you're experiencing severe symptoms or if you have any health conditions that might interact with these foods, please talk with your doctor. Your doctor knows your complete health picture, and any changes you make should be something you're comfortable discussing with them. This is about supporting your health in a way that feels right for you. In the next video, we're going to talk about something just as important: the habits that can make prostate symptoms worse. There are some really common things people do every single day without realizing they're making the problem worse. We'll talk about what they are and how to avoid them. You're not going to want to miss that one, because chances are you're probably doing at least one of them without knowing it. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Taking care of your prostate is taking care of your sleep, your energy, your mood, and your overall quality of life. You're not too old to make changes. You're not past the point where this will help. Your body is still responsive, still capable of healing, still able to improve. The fact that you're here, learning about this, tells me you care about your health. That intention, that care you're showing yourself right now, is exactly what creates change. Take it slow, be patient with yourself, trust the process, and sleep well tonight.